King Boom. Dirty Moors still attempt to infiltrate the order. Active Moors are truth and take it to the corners. Across highways, past hedges and through borders. Move on dirty Moors like broken dam waters. Watch out for agents and provocateurs trying to get next to their heads with the doctor's cures. They never pay dues and don't pay dues, contradicting with King Alfred to give clues like news. Noble Drew Ali died from Palemore blues. Prophet saved him his money before the floor fell through, and that's true. Even though I don't have proof, stellar memory tells me don't fall for spooks. Drop mental nukes, hanging from their own vine from the fig tree, looking up at them like Big B. No white flag or mercy for you fags. 5 point and pentagram is on our flag. Green, but not for cream. That dirty Moors took to throw off the balance of the Grand Treasury books, getting offers like high school ballers. Those that infiltrate are not Moors but robbers, robbing the people blind, deaf, dumb, and crippled. They can't tear this up, not one drop or trickle. No matter how hard they try to perpetrate the fraud, dirty Moors always fall on their sword. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. We know what you are, we started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. We know what you are, we started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. We know what you are, we started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. We know what you are, we started dropping it. Me nah play with no so simmer and easy. From 19 how long me see it's sleazy. So sick it's measly and disgusting. Everyone stood there. The Moors did nothing when Drew was attacked. They took the covenant that they will protect him and have his back. Behind on dues by 4 months, going to kangaroo courts to perform stunts. Temples versus temples, lawsuits from inner fights, not doing their job. 3,500 for birthright. Mufti Force left supposed to be in Gucci stores with God. Thank Allah for the Sufi Moors and Buddhist Nagas. Moorish Mike Renaissance, not rap sagas. Confusion clearer, empty battle scar wearer. Moorish nationality declarer. Straighten out the crooked ways, rap conduct squarer. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. We know what you are, we started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. We know what you are, we started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. We know what you are, we started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. We know what you are, we started dropping it. Let me strip them down, I'm the bone bearer. Negro, black, colored, minority, death preparer. Not the being, but the label attached. See me like Martin, going crazy, waving gats. Cause you call yourself black, that's a kick me sign on your life. Can't stab your enemy holding the blade of the knife. Numbskull MCs flow so dull that I'm pulling down Orishas like skull caps to torture the rapper, scissor sippers. Rapper, CD scratcher, insert ripper. Call me Jack and get slapped though. Admiral when I flow, major like macro. Don't spit on a cameraman like Pac will, but beat the case like Black Bill but no lawyer. Ask Jim Carrey, liar, liars do nothing for you while they get rich and poor you. Make you follow magistrate orders that get the coke to snort from wood corners and block ghetto. All I see is rappers, dress codes, repedo, tight shirts, skinny jeans looking like heavy metal bands. I'm not Bay but L like Gred and Hands. I grab mics, no sweat in hands, with birthright brands. I don't worry about getting scanned. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. We know what you are, we started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. We know what you are, we started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. We know what you are, we started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. We know what you are, we started dropping it. What up?
Islam, peace and love, of course. Oh. MHHS, eyes wide open. I am Israel, I left ill. MHHS, Sons of Allah. And also, MHHS, eyes wide open. Big shout out to MHHS Sister Standing on Law. Thank y'all so much. As I said, I am Israel, I left ill. Along with Brother Grant Sheik, Kujo Awa Il. Islam Noble, are you with us?
Islam, Moor, I'm here with you. You already know.
Islam, Lord. All right, that's peace, man. All right, so I know it's so much to go in on, a lot to talk about, a lot of concepts to clarify. I would first just like to say this for the record. There's a lot of quote unquote, and I'll say emphasis on incompetent Moors, right? And there's a lot of competent Moors. By the grace of Allah, I have been able, you have been able, we've all been able to be in the direct circumference of competent Moors, truly competent on the international, national level. I see there's a lot of crazy stuff going on because today, in these days, anybody could sit, record themselves or write an opinion and post it on the internet, and attempts to destroy or try, but this try to tear down their own brethren. To me, in correlation and in conjunction with them doing this in their incompetence, it kind of correlates with what Noble Drew Ali was saying as far as some of your own will try to put you back in slavery. I don't think any of our people are dumb. I just think a lot of Moors might be suffering from a lack of study, a lack of knowledge. That being said, some people have adopted that certain mentality of, I'm going to be the new Noble Drew Ali, or I'm going to be the one that everybody believes in, or anything like that. Just that whole mentality of, let me tear you down so that I can look like I'm the one. And it's just odd because in doing this with these certain Moors, and I'm not going to say any names and I'll tell you why. I'm not going to say any appellations and I'll tell you why. But for those who really, really know, like when they endeavor to do this, it just exposes their ignorance. Like, in an attempt to try to tear a competent Moor down, all you can really do is expose your ignorance, because I say, from what I've learned, what I know, what came from other Moors, elder Moors, faithful Moors, loyal Moors, whatever type, and I'm not trying to segregate anybody. I'm just saying, however you want to class, and no, I shouldn't even say that. But I trust that the listener sincerely gets my drift. Whether you're in the temple, whatever it is, that we know from being amongst these people that what they're saying was true, because we never really took what they said on face value. We went and studied. My fault. I don't mean to cut your wisdom.
No worries, Moor.
Yeah, my fault. If you wanted to interject, please do. But I just wanted to say.
No, I just wanted to interject quick flash just to put something on there. That Noble Drew Ali told the Moors that he himself is going to let the fire touch or scorch some of the good Moors. So use that as well as a template for who the dirty Moors are. They don't get touched. The fire doesn't touch dirty Moors' coattails. So if you're a Moor and you know that you're active and you've been studying from, like Brother Mizraim said, competent Moors, then you should be getting your coattails scorched in some way, shape, or form. You can't be smooth sailing if you're a good Moor. I just wanted to put that out there since we were talking about, qualifying these incompetent people with the competent Moors. The competent Moors, they face their judgments.
For sure.
Right.
And I think in correlation with what you're saying is there's no active Moor that hasn't been through a challenge with this information. You know, you can't say you're active and never had a challenge. It just doesn't really. I mean, you can be doing, and you know, everything is not for everybody. I don't wish that anybody has to have a, you know, to deal with, and I say this respectively, you know, a foreign nation, Rome at all. You know, like I just, me personally, you know, I know every living thing is connected to every other living thing, but I just wish for the day where, and I shouldn't even say wish, I trust in the day where, you know, we wouldn't even really have to deal with them, and we could be competent to our own affairs. But in the conditions of the times that we're in right now, it calls for a lot of challenges because there's a lot of, man, I even hate to say obstacles or you know what I mean? Because, or problems, because it's really just a lot of solutions we need to execute, to be honest about it. But I'll say there's a lot of motives to come up with solutions right now. I don't think that one of the motives to come up with solutions particularly is to tear each other down on the internet or on YouTube, you know, or let me get 100,000 views real quick and try to get an appellation up, like I'm that dude or I'm the, you know, the Moorish champion of debate or arguing or trying to tear my brethren or sister down. That being said, if you find yourself in that position, because it's not a non-reality, you know, we saw it from conception, you know, that goes on amongst Moors who think that the Negro black and colored often, you know. It goes on between Europeans and Moors. It goes on between Europeans and Europeans, Moors and Moors, et cetera, et cetera. I really trust that on a national, international platform, we need to really weigh what's significant and what's not. But in doing that, a lot of people don't see the bigger cause. And I want to pose this question to all of the listeners now for later. What do you think Noble Drew Ali meant when he said Moors are men upright, independent, and fearless? Now, I have to preface, before we go into some things we're going to touch on tonight, I have to preface that with this. And y'all tell me, am I looking into this too much? When he said that Moors are men upright, independent, and fearless, first let me clarify this. Man is mind, not the body or the flesh. So when he said that was not excluding women, first and foremost. So we good on that premise. All right, so we're talking about the nation altogether, upright, independent, and fearless. Now, to me, when he says that, when he's talking about upright, emphatically I think about justice. When he talks about independence, it's not on some, oh, you my brother or sister, but I don't need you, you ain't nothing type of thing. Like, no. As far as not being dependent on other nations, you know what I mean? Like autonomy. That's really what it boils down to. I think that in the aspect of what he was saying, he was talking about autonomy. All right, and I'm going to bring out a couple more points as we go on. But I say that to say this, you know, again, I'm not even going to mention any names because I've seen disputes with Moors where it was supposed to be a Moorish issue or a Moorish matter handled internally. You know, somebody got their ass whipped, excuse my expression, and then started talking about, I'm going to press charges with Rome. So for me, I'm not impressed with, you know, those, and then I'm going to get a quote unquote appellation or reputation up on YouTube. So for me, like, I'm not impressed with none of that, like, personally, because when you take all of that, you know, those who don't know, somebody who might be in Omaha somewhere, you know what I mean, or in North Dakota or whatnot, so-called North Dakota, you know, those are quasi-national domiciles, but I'm going to get to that in a minute, you know, who don't know, you know, things that go on off camera. And I'm not judging anybody from what they do personally off camera, just certain situations that happen that you don't see about. But they get on the YouTube and, you know, they're supposed to be about this, that, and the third and nation building, but yet they'll still subject themselves and their brethren or sistren if a Moorish dispute came up. So I'm chilling. I'm not saying any names because I know how certain people get down. They don't really understand our national standing as a true and living nation. Like, they don't understand that. So I say that to say this, and I thank you, Cujo, because some things I've decided a long time ago not to even pay any mind. But I see that, again, these people's will, you know, to try to get a appellation up for themselves, you know, it causes desperate acts, and then certain people get mentioned in the process of that, you know, and you find yourself saying, like, listen, me, this is my fam, so you can't just say anything. I'm not paying attention to what you do. I really don't care, but, like, when certain things come across my desk, to say the least, you know, I fully preserve and reserve to exercise my freedom of speech unrestricted. Won't curse anybody, won't call anybody out the appellation, and I'm not even going to call appellations. But what I intend to do, and I know you're going to follow up with some other information correlative, but is to exhibit the concept of, you know, this lack of knowledge when Moors try to call other Moors out and are not qualified. Example, I'm not saying no appellations here either, but Cujo, my brethren, you know what I'm talking about. Last unconscious Moor who tried to call all Moors out, what happened to him as far as putting the information out is just sickening. What happened? Like, they wasn't really ready for the call out that they made. I'm not saying, you know, I'm trying to debate anybody, but it's just sad. I had to tell you, I was like, yo, Cujo, like, you know, the last one was basically like a funeral. You might as well just chill out. Like, you made the point. The point was made. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And there's no rebuttals. So my thing is, before people, and don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to promote division, but I'm just saying, before they endeavor to do that, to try to get an appellation up for whatever reason, you know, it's just folly to me, and it reminds me of what Noble Drew Ali said when he mentioned about, you know, they think they're on the road with true Moors, but, you know, Moors on the pinnacle where they watch them fall for the last time. So I've seen what could happen to people who try this angle, right? And I'm not for, I can't say I support it at all, but, you know, once you call somebody out, or if you punch somebody in the face, there's a right to self-defense, you know, and that's just what it is. So metaphorically speaking, if you're trying to, you know, call somebody out as far as, oh, what you're doing is wrong, what we're doing is right, you know, you should really consider the aspects of all the angles of the challenge. So I'm not going to say this Moor's appellation, but I'll say this. It's one of these quote-unquote new Moors. That's what they're calling themselves, published by New Moors. And what they endeavored to do was debunk quote-unquote sovereignty myths, RVBey publications, right? Now, this is my fam, so I have a certain rebuttal for this because it's just insanity. To me, it reminds me of everything contrary to what Noble Drew Ali brought, and why these people are actually frauds in their endeavor, to try to get an appellation up in, this particular venue. They have a myth, and we're going to debunk that myth. Why don't you debunk, since you're in the Moorish Science Temple of America, why don't you debunk some of those opinions that those quote-unquote district courts put out about the Moorish Science Temple of America, that history reflects that these people ran from? They saw Moors have the courage to challenge, saw that, these Europeans are not really friendly, and all of a sudden, this Moor stuff don't work, because it's like some Moors are still in the psychosis of, we have to be accepted by Master. If Master don't accept this, then it's not good. We ain't got nothing to fight for. So they saw that and disassociated themselves, which to me was cowardly. But I'll go on to say this. This is a quote-unquote preface from a quote-unquote Grand Sheik.
Hold up. Before you do the preface, we will put on the record these people that are debunking these quote-unquote myths. We will put on the record that, we spoke about it on Tuesday, but I just want to stress the point that their actions are right in line. Their actions are, right in line. Like not a little degree to the left or right of the line. They're right in line with Finch and Flowers, Anti-Defamation League, and anybody else who's quote-unquote debunking the myths with regard to active Moors.
For sure.
Right? So recognize that this is not a thing of, Moors going at their brothers and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This is not a thing where, we're violating the Holy Covenant of the Asiatic nations. Right? This is the same reason why.
They are, though, and I'm going to definitely demonstrate that in a little bit, but please go on, my brother.
They are demonstrating and making me, myself, come to the realization as to why my Moorish foremothers and forefathers put some of these niggers in slavery. And then they're complaining about Moors them in slavery. It's not because of Moors why Negro black colored people got in slavery. It's because of Negro black colored people why they got their ass in slavery. So this is not a thing of we're Moors and then those guys are Moors and then we're, dissing our brother. That's not what's going on. These people are working for both sides. These people are we're debunking the debunking myth that they're Moors. They're not Moors. I don't care if they say that they're Moorish Science Temple. I don't care if they got a nationality card in their pocket. I don't care if they got a fez on, if they say Allah, 5 on the left, 2 on the right, and they do the quote unquote practices that we would consider, noble for the Moors. We are talking about individuals who take a position of siding with the side that is against our people knowing the truth about their nationality and their birthrights, because by them doing these activities, they are against and they are for the perpetual slavery of their brothers and sisters who are ignorant of the facts that they have that they're supposed to be presenting.
Mm-hmm. Say that.
Right?
Yep.
They are against their brothers and sisters who are ignorant. They are against their brothers and sisters who are in darkness. No different than the package selling Moors, who know that this is free. They have the literature. If they're calling themselves Moorish Science Temple of America, then they know that, one, if you have a charter, it was given to you by a sovereign power. So you can't tell me that Moor Science Temple doesn't deal with sovereignty, because a charter comes from a sovereign power, and Noble Drew Ali is the sovereign that created that charter for Moors to be able to exercise their sovereignty. And no, I didn't say that we're sovereign citizens. No, I didn't say we're sovereign whatever, right? We have a flag that represents a nation. This is not a club banner. This is not a Amity and Commerce banner. This is a flag that's over 10,000 years old. Depending on the literature, 50,000 years old.
Yep.
So clearly, if the flag's been around for 50,000 years, and Noble Drew Ali could go tell people, go in the vault, pull it out and all that stuff, oh yeah, don't forget, go get the star too because you guys are playing games, clearly they know that this is a sovereign nation. It's not a secret that this is sovereign. And for these people to play these games, and they're going to go at active Moors who have been doing work for the past 20, 30, 40 years, but they're not going to, but they're going to side with officers of the court sitting on people's couch talking crap about Moors. You know that they work for the other side if they're siding with the officer of the court.
Yeah.
You know they work for the other side if they're siding with an attorney or a lawyer. If they're telling people, go to a lawyer and get your paperwork apostilled by a lawyer when they have a temple that has seals that they can seal the paperwork.
Yeah.
So we're at that stage right now where Long Ships and then Sidney Poitier went to the dude in his camp and told him, ride the Mare of Steel to prove that you have faith in Allah. It's Mare of Steel tonight for these Moors.
Indeed, Moor. Indeed. And with that being said, I gotta catch up on that. But for sure. So what I intend to do is show and correlate the de jure aspect that has already been put on the platform. RVBey Publications, definitely a life-changing and enhancing website. Definitely study everything you come across. But I would say, don't get too big for your bridges, whereas, you feel like, oh, these Moors, they're not about this, that, and the third, and these Europeans are right, and we're going to rely on what the lawyers and attorneys say, who are esquires, showing that, you don't know law or history or the history of law. You don't really understand, the aspect of nationality. Now, first and foremost, let me say this. Noble Drew Ali did mention enforcing the American Republic Constitution. All right. In that particular Constitution of the American land, the Al-Moroccan land, the Western Hemisphere, Article 4, Section 4 guarantees a republic. Now, granted this, or respect this, we know that there's violators in positions, from the municipal level to the Supreme Court level. This is true, However, all of these people have an obligation that existed before we ever met them, before we even knew what their position in life was. For the most part, you might come across, a magistrate claiming to be judge, or a Roman clergyman, to be exact, claiming to be a judge or whatnot. In realizing that, you have to realize this. There's a case law, Chisholm versus Georgia, which we said before, where it mentions that in our constitutional form of government, the absolute sovereignty of the nation is in the people of the nation, or resides in the people of the nation. That's what the case law says, right? All right. So that's the law of what land? America. Now we know America, Morocco, same thing. Moors, Aboriginal people of the Western Hemisphere. So the law of the land is not restricted to one quasi-national domicile or one district or one municipality, which are all corporations, really that don't have, a valid claim on the land. And that seems foreign to certain Moors who are still in their mind state, Negro, black, and colored people. Like, even though they claiming to be Moorish Americans, even though they put on their face, even though, they rise and say all honors to the prophet, this, that, and the third, in their head, they're still Negro, blacks, and colored people. I'll explain why. So let me just get into this real quick. This is a so-called preface from a so-called grand sheet. And it says, this note marks a much-needed series, right? So now, these people are sitting back trying to plot on how they can debunk the de jure information that's been brought and is being brought, right? So it says, all right, this note marks a much-needed series that will be undertaken by the quote-unquote new Moors of the Moorish Science Temple of America and those sympathetic with our movement and its cause. All right, so they already in their feelings, but that's what it is, all right? So for those who are sympathetic with their movement and its cause. Now, you look at what Noble Drew Ali said, the cause is to uplift fallen humanity. That's really what it is. Let me go on. It goes on to say, these sovereignty, free man on the land, etc. types of arguments have caused much pain to many families and caused many to get arrested and the people to propagate this, the people who propagate this type of information continues to push forward with it. Yes, we will definitely continue to push forward with the truth. However, these arguments are not the cause of pain to many families or the issue or source of people getting arrested, etc. Like, this has been going on for generations. We come with a remedy. Now, let me say this. As far as sovereignty and the free man on the land, no, we disclaim that. We're not claiming to be sovereign citizens. We're not claiming any type of offshoot movement, claiming to be free men on the land. Though, that the word sovereignty itself is not a bad thing. It's just the category or the caste of sovereign citizen. That right there is a fiction. We're definitely American citizens, and with that being said, I emphasize that there is a difference, and I don't want to be too basic. You heard me say this before, but just getting back to basics with these types of things and statements, I don't understand. But there's definitely a difference between a sovereign citizen and an American citizen, We never claimed to be sovereign citizens. Nobody on this side at all has ever claimed to be a sovereign citizen. People have been libeled or misrepresented as claiming to be sovereign citizens based off of, a false or maljurisdiction or maldiction, if you will. Because mal is wrong and juris is right. So that's not even jurisdiction. That's maldiction right there. You know what I mean? And we never claimed that. So let me also stress this. A lot of those arguments, those offshoot movements, sovereignty, the sovereign citizens, the free man on the land. Yo, who do you think were the ancient law sages that they got that from? They didn't make nothing up. They went back, they studied some law, all right? They found out, really, if you really want to get to it, Moors are the de jure law sages. They took that and ran with that because they knew that they couldn't claim to be Moors and that American, they're really not. So who you think they copy from? All right. Our foremothers and forefathers who are, in fact, indeed, law lords and law sages. So, sovereignty movement, free men on the land, they're not talking nothing new. Who you think they really got this from? All right, so the point is to know your foremothers and forefathers, what they were about, and how it applies to you, not them. That's the main point there. All right, so those types of arguments are not necessarily, to me, the cause of much pain to families. The much pain in families and the arguments themselves are derived from the fact that people are being arrested. You know what I mean? Like, there has to be a reason for a protection. What you just going to say, you know, people got kidnapped off the street. I don't even care what your nationality is. You know, in international law, you know how the feeling in the violation of kidnap feels. Like, if you ever been through that. You know, some people consent to it being all right because it's Roman soldiers in blue uniforms, and they assume that they have the authority. So therefore, it's supposed to be all right, and you're supposed to suck up that feeling of being violated, et cetera, when no. The fact that the Roman soldiers are kidnapping people is what inspired people to make an argument for themselves because what? Nobody else is going to do it, right? And if you're going to defend yourself and everybody's into this verbal keto, shit, defend yourself against these people who are really oppressing you. I want to see more start making arguments at the court before they start arguing with each other. I mean, and it's a lot to argue about. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying to endeavor and put your time and energy into this opposed to seeing what the problem is and putting your time and argumentative energy into that. Stop arguing with your wife. Stop arguing with your family member. You know what I mean? Realize what the law of the land is and impress somebody by putting your energy into that. Because you got a lot to argue about on that venue. But no, they see the real challenge that we face with in these times and they run from it and start shunning the truth. Oh, this don't work because this, that, and the third. Listen, let me also say this. In this particular writ, they went to circumscribe a Moor's domicile, national domicile. And I say this, for them trying to get an appellation up for themselves, I'm not even going to mention the appellation. They won't get that on me. But they go on to mention a Moorish elder who has put in a lot of groundwork that, you know, regardless of personal flaws or whatever, with this particular being tried to contribute to the people at large, you have to respect. I don't care who you are. You have to respect that. But they go on to try to put this Moor's domicile in the circumscribed New Jersey as a New Jersey resident by saying that he has experience in New Jersey courts as he's a New Jersey resident. All right. So right there, this is supposed to be the Moor Science Temple of America. These new Moors, right? This is what they call themselves, new Moors, right? Just woke up yesterday and trying to discredit somebody saying, you know, their experiences are based in New Jersey courts as he is a New Jersey resident. So a lot of what he puts together appears to be based upon his experience and knowledge of New Jersey's court system as well as Pennsylvania's, I assume. That's an assumption, right? And then they go on to quote something from RVBey publications. Now, for me, being competent, that statement alone showed the incompetence. Excuse me being competent, that statement showed the incompetence of their credibility with nationality. And to me, this is why. Because being a Moor, knowing who I am, thus knowing who my people are, even though I might not know you on a personal level like that, I know who we are really. You know what I mean? And once you declare your nationality, you're supposed to be competent on multiple aspects. So when you're talking about residence versus domicile, the fact that you're even speaking like that, either one, disqualifies you, or two, shows that you're an agent trying to circumscribe a Moor's domicile, national domicile, to a quasi-corporation location, to me, and in conjunction with the law and the law of the land. Because I say this, Article 6 of the American Republic Constitution, since, you know, the aspect of law was brought up, Department Cool Joe, I don't mean to be long-winded, but I do have a lot to say about this particular subject.
Wind it out, Moor.
You know what I mean?
Don't worry.
Indeed. So he goes on and he's talking about this particular Moor being a New Jersey resident, which to me, and mind you, these are claiming to be, you know, new Moors of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Shows that they haven't really studied or even really analyzed what is on RVBey publication. Now, mind you, I wasn't going to stress this. I never even knew about it. This is from May last year. I hope their understanding of law has been ameliorated since then, but from what I've seen recently, I know it hasn't. But I say this to say that the national domicile, when you look that up in your Henry Campbell Black's Law 4th edition, under the definition of domicile, it goes into national domicile. Now, regardless of what your nationality is, you claiming to be in the Moorish Science Temple of America, you already know the history of how Moors, the history of the geography of how Moors are connected to the Western Hemisphere. If we just went off of what's in the Circle 7 alone, when Noble Drew Ali was talking about our existence on both sides of the Atlantic prior to the Great Earthquake. You know what I mean? Now, that's primitive. Now, I say that to say this. So much to say. But when we look at how serious we're going to take our nationality and our political status that's inherent with that, and our civil status that's inherent with that, national domicile is key. Because this refers to a person not being considered as a resident of any municipal domicile, town, township, district, or whatever, or any quote-unquote quasi-national domicile, which are today modernly called states, but they're really in reality quasi-national domiciles. So for Moor claiming that they are national and, you know, there's a national problem, but we're going to say, you know, our brethren or our sistren are subjected to a quasi-national domicile, just for me, it disqualifies, you know, their position ab initio as far as the ignorance goes. You know what I mean? Like they're really not really ready for what they're trying to call out. They're really not. They're definitely not. So he goes on to mention something about the site that says a ticket summons is a suit against you. And he's saying that this is not true. And the emphasis is on their particular situation. And I'll go on to quote, now, personally, this is what they say. Now, I've personally attempted to use this information in the past because I was a student at one point. However, upon real, in all capital letters, research, discussions with astute members of the legal profession, knowledgeable Moors, and just some good old common sense, I came to the realization that the claims being made are in fact erroneous, and then goes into a ticket summons is a suit against you, not being a fact. Well, the thing is this: it is a fact. A ticket is a suit. Why? Because they're asking you for monetary gain. What makes the suit invalid is that the venue never had jurisdiction. That's the whole point. The venue never had jurisdiction, which makes it invalid, but indeed the nature of it is a suit. Now check this out. They talk about, the municipal level, this, that, and the third. And I've said this a couple weeks ago, but I quote this reference in Source of Law again, as it is imperative for Moors to know this, that just because Europeans are here and have been accepted or whatnot, that doesn't make them any type of law authority. They're still Europeans. So I'll quote this before I quote another classic. And it says here, where the public opinion of European states agreed on any principle. Now, first and foremost, we know Rome is in Europe, Italy, which is really still Asia, but, land that was allotted to them, to say the least, for them to have a little bit of free reign, the modern Europeans, but then subsequently creating and divided states or whatnot. But here it says, from the Institutes of International Law, where the public opinion of European states agreed on any principle as to form a rule of the law of nations, it by no means follows that any one nation will be under obligation to observe it. So flashback real quick. Noble Drew Ali said, Moors are men upright, independent, and fearless. So when they start making quote-unquote laws, you committed fraud because you have this particular ID, and you look at, well, what's the nationality of these people who came up with this law? Yes, they're of modern European descent. Is your nationality anything of modern European descent, being Moorish American, if that's what you claim to be? No, but we know Moors were in quote-unquote Europe before that. But what I'm saying is these modern European states, these Italians, Germans, Irish, etc., we know our history supersedes them, but as far as an international law, that's their playground. Nobody's under obligation to observe, specifically not Moors, are under obligation to observe the law of a modern European nation or state. It by no means follows that any one nation will be under obligation to observe it. That obligation can only arise from reciprocity of practice in other nations. Now, I say that to say this. There was a particular point in the particular document where they go in and, they're trying to ameliorate the position of their master. And I say that emphatically, because it says, all right, where it talks about, and I'm going to get right back to this, just to understand where I'm coming from and why I'm saying what I'm saying. In this particular document, it says, although it has been presented unlawfully because the person who sues you cannot serve you too, and they certainly can't also be the witnesses for prosecution. All right, it goes on to say, again, it is my contention that this assertion is fallacious as it pertains to the issuance of the ticket/summons. Goes on to say, New Jersey, as well as every state, has rules that govern the court of the state, quote unquote. RVBey's assertion is based on the civil rules of procedure. I just want to reference, where did you ever see that at on RVBey publications? But what it does not do is consider the section of the court rules that govern the municipal courts specifically. Now, again, this is where my contention lays at, because these same people who are trying, and again I emphasize, to ameliorate the standing of Roman venues in the name of the Moor Science Temple. See these, and they claim to be new Moors that don't know shit. Excuse my expression. They're not really looking at the ancient concept, because these are quote-unquote new Moors. And not to say new Moors won't come in with their eyes wide open, but that's not having your eyes wide open, because here you're going into, New Jersey municipal court rules. Listen, I tell you, I battled with these same quasi-national domiciles straight up. And, I took my wins and my scars and my losses on the battlefield. But damn, I'll be sure to say I seen the light in all of that, with the wins, losses, etc. These people don't respect their rules. I'm telling you, because he goes into rules governing practice in the municipal courts under Rule 7.2, Process 7.2-1G, all of this corny stuff. Look, we demonstrated with this same corporation. I know for a fact they don't respect their rules, but what does make them shake is when you come as a free, upright, and independent Moor, not asking them for anything, but definitely exercising your birthrights. And yeah, it's a challenge, for sure. Do they respect it? That's a matter of, do you respect you? Will you demonstrate that? You come arguing that, that works for, and hardly even for them, those who are amongst that Christian society. Those are their rules. And it might sound so good, like, oh yeah, this applies for my situation. Trust me, I've been there. These people not respecting the quote-unquote court rules. So I say that to say this. The law is not the problem. The rules are not the problem. What the problem is, and as you said, we started thinking like the colonists, but the problem is that the colonists have an agenda. You fools not seeing. Not just against any specific one Moor, against Moors, period. Whether they think they're Negro, black, color, or whatever, they have an agenda against Moors, conscious or not. And the only thing that's going to make them respect it is your alertness, your awareness, and your exercise and your activity. Real fact. Telling you, I took the mental scars on the battlefield dealing with this corporation and left them a lot. And I'm not bragging. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be here to tell you about it if I was in the Negro state of mind, if I was in a black state of mind, a colored state of mind. Also, if I didn't have support from loyal and faithful Moors who understand the principles of nationality, specifically when it comes to other nations. Because, see, I don't care if you're right or wrong. If it comes to a European trying to declare you wrong, you're going to be right as 7 right shoes until we get out of their presence. And then I tell you, look, I think you could have did this better. You could accept it or not. But when it comes to them, never, ever supposed to take sides. Ever. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a principle. I mean, you're not going to let somebody terrorize the neighborhood without repercussions, but, to try to go out and demonstrate, on any type of platform and side with the Europeans is sickening to me. And also, I want to emphasize that specifically for Moors who claim to be in the Moor Science Temple of America, that is a breach of the Holy Covenant, chapter 25. And I just want to break down why, again, pardon me, Cujo, I just have a lot to say with this particular situation.
Go in, Moor. Don't worry. Go in.
Indeed. So I was just going to quote one part from chapter 25 of a Holy Covenant of the Asiatic nation. But I feel as though, and I trust as though, it's only right to read the whole thing. And I'll go back to what my emphasis is on reading this. It's only 5 points. So I say that to say this. As far as them siding with the Europeans and their rules are right, this, that, and the third, already broke down. Where the public opinion of European states agreed on any principle as to form a rule of the law of nations, it by no means follows that any one nation will be under obligation to observe it. That obligation can only arise from reciprocity of practice in other nations. So y'all practice that, you know what I mean? And that's what gives it validity. For from the very circumstance of the prevalence of a different rule among other nations, it will become only not lawful, but necessary for that one nation to pursue a different conduct. And again, that particular reference and source of law is Institutes of International Law in Time of Peace, page 19 by Richard Wildman. But correlating that back to chapter 25, you know, and I'm not judging anybody. We're taking this situation and analyzing it for what it is. All right. So chapter 25, a holy covenant of the Asiatic nation. Number 1, it says, ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother hath given you suck. Number 2, let the bonds of affection, therefore, unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. Number 3, and this is where the emphasis is, and when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. Number 4, if thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. Number 5, so shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. I say that to say this. They went to try to ameliorate a Roman venue's rules. That's exactly what they did. He went to ameliorate a Roman venue's rules. And I take it back real quick before I emphasis number 3 of chapter 25. You know, when you understand that New Jersey meant Nova Caesarea, and that's just one corporation operating on the whole ancestral state, North and South Central America, and not to circumscribe Moors too much, I even say the planet Earth. All right? The planet Earth. There you go. Romans are modern. They don't really have standing when it comes to us. So, in adopting their rules, and again, no nation being obligated to observe a European opinion or rule, to me, it basically showed that they prefer strangers over their own blood, because they even try to exemplify that, the 14th Amendment was created so that the Southerners, the Moors in the South, could be placed with the political body of power. But they omit the fact that he went on to say, the Constitution has never been changed. There is no need for the application of the 14th or 15th Amendment for the salvation of my people and the citizens. But back to emphasizing number 3, chapter 25 of the Moorish Holy Quran, of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science. All right. So I take this last excerpt. It says, what it comes down to is that paying traffic fines are a part of having your car on the public roads and consequently committing an infraction which would violate the rules of the road or some other motor vehicle law, right? Now, they're saying this to try to disprove RVBey publications in conjunction with the Nova Caesarea, the New Caesar, or New Jersey court rules, right? So I'm looking at this, And it says what it comes down to is that paying traffic fines are part of having your car on the public roads. Now, mind you, my emphasis and correlation of the message right here, it's chapter 25, number 3 of the Circle 7, where it mentions strangers. Prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. So for those who have a Henry Campbell Black's Law Dictionary, revised 4th edition, turn to page 1590, and let's read the definition of strangers and how it correlates to this word fine that was correlated in this particular quote-unquote New Moorish message, right? Definition of strangers. By this term is intended third persons generally. Thus, the persons bound by fine. I'm going to stop right there. The persons bound by fine. Why would fine be mentioned in the definition of strangers? Again, correlating back to this quote-unquote New Moor, talking about what it comes down to is that paying traffic fines are a part of having your car on the public road. So in conjunction with the fact that they try to discredit Moors and at the same time ameliorate municipal courts, but they're part of the Moorish Science Temple of America, right? But they break in chapter 25 on their own merit. So let's go on. By this term, strangers tended third persons generally. Thus, the persons bound by fine are parties, privies, and strangers. The parties are either the cognizors or cognizees. The privies are such as are in any way related to those who levy the fine and claim under them by any right of blood or other right of representation. The strangers are all other persons in the world, except only the parties and privies. In its general legal signification, the term is opposed to privy. Those who are in no way parties to a covenant. Now, mind you, chapter 25 is a holy covenant of the Asiatic nation. All right, so those who are in no way parties to a covenant nor bound by it are also said to be strangers to the covenant. Brown C. Robbins versus Chicago, Wilson versus Smith, and again, that reference to source of law is Henry Campbell Black's Law Dictionary, revised 4th edition, page 1590. So why would strangers be mentioned with fines, or fines be mentioned with strangers? And these fools get on here talking about the New Moors or the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, the Moorish Science Temple of America, and they're trying to say that the Roman venues, which are the municipal venues, all right, you got to pay your fine and this, that, and the third. Y'all strangers. Y'all acting like strangers, which is why, Brother Kujo, I be having tunnel vision with these people who get on YouTube and try to get a rep up. I personally don't respect it. We never got into this information trying to get a name up. Like, we did it off the love. Like, this is what was supposed to happen. You know what I mean? I personally, and not to make it personal to myself, I don't do videos and stuff like that because that's never what I was interested in. We have a lane to get this information to people. That's all that really matters. And I don't knock anybody who does do that, but just be competent before you do that, trying to get up there, trying to expose Moors, because though we might not put ourselves out there, we watching. We get informed on what we need to know. You know what I mean? And that's just what it is. So think, man, before you try to get your rep up in the name of Moors, in the name of Moor Science Temple, would absolutely violate everything it's about. Also, I say this, these are the same people that claim to be, citizens of the United States. I'm a citizen of the USA. Noble Drew Ali did not really promote that. If he did, then tell me why would he say that there's no need for the application of the 14th and 15th Amendment? And you look at the language used in the 14th Amendment, it's talking about all people born or naturalized within the United States is subject to the jurisdiction of, they're citizens of the state within they reside and citizens of the United States or whatnot. What conscious Moor ever been amongst RVBey publications claiming to be any type of U.S. citizen or trying to really get recognition from them when we recognize what it is? These people are, it's a Christian corporation. And foreigners, European foreigners, adopted into the Moorish family, all right? And the condition was accepting the law of the land that came down from the Iroquois, Aboriginal Moors, Al-Moroccans, Americans, native Al-Moroccans or Americans, however you want to look at it. They had to accept this law to ever be accepted or adopted. And I say that to say this. They came here fleeing tyranny, so they say, from our family across the great Atlantic Ocean, and then subsequently a treaty was made between the Moroccan kingdom, and the corporation, the Christian corporation, and the Christians for the United States. That's what happened. They never became Moors or Americans because of that. Let me get into this next reference before I yield the floor. Just want to take it real quick to international law. This is another source of law. You could go back, write this down if you can. This is from the source of law, and it's called Classics of International Law. The Classics of International Law, issue 5, volume 2, page 172, edited by James Brown Scott. And it's a woman with the appellation Raquel. They say Rachel, but the appellation is really Raquel. And the question she had asked and what was being examined is this, as follows. What is the nature of this law of nations which a lawgiver may sanction for certain foreigners who subject themselves to some commonwealth either permanently or up to a given time, or which is even dictated by the indigenous inhabitants themselves? Stop. Which is dictated by the indigenous inhabitants themselves, so far as it may suit them to live with the foreigners whom they have received under their sway, either permanently or for a given time. Question. And this is where I need you to pay attention and really listen. All right? It goes on to say, the foreigners admitted certainly do not form a nation possessing power to make compacts at their discretion and of their own counsel with another nation equally free in its respect, so that each will be bound to the other. All right? So now let's look at the statement again. The foreigners admitted certainly do not form a nation. We're talking about from the indigenous inhabitants, so to speak. All right? So how did the foreign Europeans came over with companies, colonies, then got admitted via accepting or adopting the law of the land? How did they become a nation for a Moorish American to claim to be a citizen of? Because no different than sovereign is not a place to be a citizen of. USA is not either. It's a corporation. So again, to me, it goes back to Moors who are not up for the challenge, really. They're not up for the diversity that's at hand. No way. They want to be accepted by their master, and I get it. That's what it is. They're not really realizing the magnitude of the responsibility as far as our national affairs, not necessarily individual, but national affairs of self-responsibility, autonomy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's 2000, let me not even say that. The Gregorian timetable right now is 2016, which we know that mathematics was derived from Moors. It's been 100 years have been cleared since Noble Drew Ali started this movement. He told you then, you know, Moors are men upright, independent, and fearless. What you take that as being upright, independent, and fearless doesn't mean you don't need anybody. He also told you, Moors, you need each other. You're going to need each other more later. All right? So in that independence, it's not about I don't need anybody or, you know, nobody needs me type of thing. No, the point is as a nation, because Moors is national. It's not just individually to you as a being. No, it's not. You're talking about a nation. So when he was speaking in that national context of Moors being upright and independent, he was telling you we're not slaves, not servants. Now, the self-responsibility that goes with that as a nation, I think that's what Moors are not really, some Moors, shall I say, excuse me, are not really willing to endeavor in. They want to be accepted instead of accepting themselves and realizing the true history and how it applies to them today. Because some people, history don't matter. It don't matter back what happened back then. Yeah, it does. Because if it didn't happen then, you're going to see what you see now. It does. You know what I mean? So, that being said, the foreigners admitted certainly do not form a nation, fam. So, Europeans that was fleeing from Great Britain coming over here and then eventually forming the corporation USA or United States, however you want to look at it, any type of 14th Amendment language context, I'm not even coming nowhere near that because that's not who we are, and we're not subject to that. You know what I mean? But what they're looking for is acceptance now. They don't want to deal with the fact that we have a responsibility now, you know, and that it's either now or never. What, we going to put this off another 100 years? Like, nah, we can't do that. How? You know what I mean? How could you sleep comfortably with the information, knowing it's a responsibility that goes with it? But this is where the ignorance level interjects at, because I don't believe they really know. And I'm not saying it's not about belief. But if they did know, they would demonstrate and be what they know. So again, I emphasize chapter 25, circle 7, when Noble Drew Ali mentions that holy covenant. Number 3, prefer not a stranger over thy own blood. And then we look at what stranger means in law, and it's talking about a fine. You got these new Moorish fools claiming that it boils down to you got to pay your fine, and New Jersey court rule 7-2. Listen, they never had to bang out with the Romans on an intellectual level for the quasi-national domicile state of New Jersey. I've seen magistrates tuck their tail out here based on proper demonstration. Nothing complicated. Nothing complicated at all. Just enforcing constitutional law. You know what I mean? Now, granted, yeah, you got some corruption to different degrees. Some of these people you got, because this is what you got to understand, who you're dealing with and when you're dealing with them. You know what I mean? Like, for me, if you're dealing with a magistrate, you know what I'm saying? Not just the fact that he works for Rome. I'm doing my investigation on him and the territory or her to the fullest extent. Because let's say they have an appellation, their last appellation is something like Jackie Coldwell or something like that. You know, I'm going to know based off of Codwell. I'm going to know that based off their appellation, they have Irish origins somewhere in their blood. Or in some way they're repping Irishmen. Why? Because Codwell is Irish for cold well. You know what I'm saying? So you do the history of the Irish, you know, they were subjected personally to some of the same abuses that Moors was. and fought with Moors in certain instances, specifically in North America, I'm talking. You understand what I'm saying? So you're going to have different levels of corruption based off of that particular being that's in that particular position. But also the fact that one thing never changes, that they are working for Rome. So you need to know that. But then also not just your knowledge yourself, knowledge of others. You know, who is the magistrate, period, that you're dealing with, first and foremost, because they might have a different opinion or perspective or outtake in, you know, the neighboring municipality magistrate, just because their nationality themselves is different. Things ain't always all good with them. You know, the Swedes, they know who accepted them in this area before, you know, they had to go to war with the English. So it's certain different things that might stimulate that particular magistrate to be on your side. If you really declaring your nationality and you really know your history, because you know they know theirs, they're not asleep. Some of them, you know, might play dumb, but depending on how you demonstrate, I seen, like I said before, seen two Moors demonstrate back to back. You know what I mean? Back to back. One demonstrated horribly. As a Moor, I was embarrassed. I'm going to be honest. I didn't judge my brethren, but we had a lot to build on after that. But I know the Moor I came with, we prepped for like 2 weeks. Went in there, executed, and walked out right behind this Moor. With the feds on all of that, demonstrated horribly. And I'm not judging, I'm just stating facts. It depends on you. You can't come with the BS and expect to get any type of results. Is everything published? No. No way. No way is everything published. But what I'm saying is, on the territory, you know, you're speaking about somebody within the territorial jurisdiction of Moors, Americans, ancestral estate, national domicile, North America, to be specific. You know, these people are on the Gulf Coast. They never had to bang out with Rome up here, but they sitting back speculating opposed to actually breaking down the information that's being presented. So with that being said, and them claiming to be a part of the Moorish Science Temple of America and preferring strangers over their own blood by talking about fines and whatnot, I'm not impressed. I'm just not. Y'all always expose yourselves and try to expose somebody else, you know, and big shout out, because I remember my mother and Anna E. quoting this maxim before, whereas it says, you know, the grave that you try to dig for somebody, you dig for yourself. You know, if you're digging it for somebody else, you might as well just go ahead and dig too, or expect one not to be going in it but yourself. So I say that to say this, big acknowledgement, big respect to RVBey Publications, and I'm not just saying that because I'm biased and this is my fan, but I seen the effort and the work that went in from day one. We was on the streets, you know, bringing the message. On the street, 125th, all of that. We was there putting out the message. Vendors couldn't even sell nothing because their information was being broke up with national principles. So now to substantiate their position, they have to, oh, well, no, we the black man because light comes from triple darkness and all this craziness. You know what I mean? Big shout out. And you know, I'm not trying to Grammy speech, but I just want to give the props where it's due. Big shout out to Anna E. for all the information she has put out, information she has exercised. Cujo for what you're doing, and all the elders, Taj, everybody who's tried to at least give you a visual of where you could go with this. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people could sit on this and pass by silently for the rest of their lives. You know, it takes a certain type of courage to say, look, this is the truth, And because of that fact alone, I'm putting it out there. That's it. You know what I mean? So I say, I respect that. I don't care what nobody say. In their attempts to ever, try to deface what has been done, what we're going to keep continuing to do, they're only going to expose themselves. And I call this type the cowardly lion because they've walked with Moors who had courage. Everybody saw what these Moors did. I don't care what you want to say is wrong with them. You know what I'm saying? To stand up and demonstrate before a Roman, your birthright, I salute that. That's a lot of courage. But when it comes down to the real challenge, Moors will say, oh, well, Master didn't accept it. Ha ha, look what Master said. This is not the way. Let's ameliorate what the Master put out. That type of thing. And then turn around and claim the USA citizen. So, pardon me, I didn't mean to be long-winded. I still have a lot more to say, but I rest my dispensation off of those principles right there. I could go on. I could say appellations and names. They'll never get that from me because, like I said, man, these Moors, these new Moors are really scary. You could just have a fist fight, and from that, you threaten with assault charges and, slander charges and all of this here. I'm not playing with y'all. I stand in the lane. I'm just thankful to be a part of this platform and to have the gift, to transmit de jure information from what I've studied myself. And I thank all of those who've put any type of time in, good, bad, or indifferent, to really advance our independence as a nation, not as individuals, but as a nation from these modern Europeans who subsequently broke every treaty that they ever made. I salute y'all, for sure. And nothing egotistical, that's just my synopsis on this particular situation and why I feel as though these Moors are not qualified to debate. These Moors are not qualified to call Moors out. And what I see they're trying to do is get a rep up for themselves. And it's no different than any other situation. I mean, if you're an amateur boxer, your goal is to be at the top. So you want to fight the Floyd Mayweather. You want to fight the Mike Tyson, the Muhammad Ali, because you want to rep up. But you really can't really handle the challenge. You need a little bit of seasoning to even go that route. So for me, being aware for about 17 years now, you know what I mean, and still learning, it doesn't excite me or impress me with this type of activity, because it's actually a downer for me, because I'm like, damn, these Moors, these are quote unquote our people, they still don't get it yet. You know what I mean? They didn't recognize that first and foremost, the biggest enemy is within, but then there's a overall common enemy. You won't even come together for that. You won't even share information for those purposes, but you want to tear Cujo down. You want to tear RVBey down. And then you can't do it. And it's like at the end of the day, it's just y'all wasting your time, man. You know what I mean? Like, really get into what Noble Drew Ali was saying. Brother Cujo, again, I apologize. I didn't mean to go long-winded. That's about like a clean hour. That's
you're good.
What I had to say for now on the subject, bro. With that being said, I respectively yield the floor. Islam, Noble.
Well, I'm gonna just put something on the record for another Moor. Brother Seth and RVBey texted me something, so I just want to put that on the record as well. That he wants to make it clear to all that we are all Moors, even the ones who have corrupted ways of acting and thinking. Ignorance doesn't denationalize them. It just shows and proves that they are not honorable. The Prophet taught civics in barbershops before the old Canaanite temple, but so-called temple Moors have thrown civics by the wayside. RVBey is a free online university that teaches national principles, civics, as well as the divine. For how many people attempting to understand who they are that have no way to get to a temple? Keep in mind, the temple was put in place to remind those of us who forgot our way, to teach us to be ourselves, to bring us back into the constitutional fold of government, not to divide us. For all Moors, newly awakened adepts, GSs, etc., open your eyes, rise above ignorance, and live in honor. Islam. So that's the theme.
True indeed. Shout out to that Bible.
Yeah.
For sure, man. For sure.
Is being in honor. You know what I mean? The theme is being in honor. The theme is, you know, it's like even with you know, what you were saying from the beginning, that 5 lines in, you already knew that this is not even anything to, you know, really go into like that, because it's not credible information. You know what I mean? They're not presenting de jure information based on, you know, from the top. It's claiming residence alone. That alone. We're not even going anywhere else. We could stop there. As soon as you see that word, you already know these people are not qualified to even write what they're writing. And it becomes clear that they have motives of you know, wanting to boost themselves. Right now, we had a saying back in the day that, you know, individuals who come on this angle, it's like Revenge of the Nerds. Right? It's the guys who were losers in high school. You know what I mean? It was the guys who, you know, had the Velcro shoes and stuff like that are now trying to talk big. You know what I mean? It's the guys who were, you know, getting punked off, and then they became police officers just so that they can see the guy who was punking them off, so they could stop them, give them frivolous tickets, or use their, you know, little corporate jurisdiction to try to, you know, act big now. You know what I mean? But back in the day when they were getting punked off, they didn't have nothing to say. Now all of a sudden they got feathers on. They know that they're Moors. Now they got big talk now. You know, now they can tell people $1,500 for packages and stuff like that. But, you know, when they were Negro black colored, they weren't even going there with Negro black colored activity. Right? So we know and we recognize that it's Revenge of the Nerds going on right now. All these people talking BS about active Moors, you know what I mean? Like we put it on the record on Tuesday. Either you're active Moor or you're dirty Moor. Because Drew Ali said all Moors are active. Oh, there's no room for passive Moors. There's no room for Moors who have this information but don't want to do nothing with it.
Damn, but hold on, Cool Joe. And I say myself, I lived a pretty, let me say this. I can't say that I lived a life without any type of sin. I wouldn't be right to say that. Excuse me. I haven't sinned on a atrocious level. I really haven't. You know what I mean? I've did some things where I could say, damn, I wouldn't do that today, or, you know, I would have did that better. I would do that better now than I did then, or whatnot. So I still leave that room for myself to never feel like I'm full. Like I always have room to grow. That's why that for me that allows me to grow. Like, you know, the saying like, nah, you're not a grown man, you're a growing man. Like that keeps me humble. Because I always feel like there's more room to grow. But when you mention active Moors and then dirty Moors, what about these dirty Moors that are trying to be active? Like, because I you know, and again, big shout out to you, because I don't pay attention to these people. I really don't. You see what I bring to the table? I'm bringing text knowledge, different, you know, perspectives from my analysis, from what I do know, which I do know from what I've studied. But when I see these like YouTube videos, it's not about hating. It's just I'm looking at these people and I'm like, wow, you know what I mean? This person will call the cops on their own brethren. This person will call the cops on their own sister. This person, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm seeing it different. You know what I mean? Because we've been exposed to different things, you know what I mean? So, like, you get this Moor who's getting up talking about nationality and leaving out a major aspect, that national affairs is held or handled internally. The last time, who you know that's invited, what more you know has been invited, you know, to like a dinner with a royal family from anywhere, and then they sitting there airing out their disputes amongst each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't do that. You know what I mean? If they invite you to the table, everybody is going to be a certain situation that everybody is going to have a respected opinion about. You know what I mean? So I say that to say that when I'm watching these videos, I'm looking at, and I'm not judging. It's just like, wow, man, if these people only knew this person is a liar and a Roman dependent. You know what I mean? And I say that to say, like, shit, if I had a problem with another Moor, you know, and I wanted it resolved, like, I'm going to contact another Moor or contact that Moor myself to see how we can resolve that. You know what I'm saying? Like, can it be resolved or whatever? My first option as a national, being a national, my first option is not ever to call Rome, like, I need you to resolve this. For me, and that has been, you know, it's just certain things that back then I didn't really understand it, but the principles of nationality. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't call foreigners on your own. You don't do that. You know what I mean? That's not how nationals supposed to handle their affairs. I mean, look at how many suits, even amongst different nations, that never really got judicially decided but came to an agreement or a settlement. And you don't see that on the court record. You know what I'm saying? Like, the agreement would be, okay, we're going to leave this situation between parties A, party B, party C, but this is the remedy we're going to bring to this particular dispute. And the agreement will be nobody has to know nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, that would be a part of the settlement or the agreement. You know what I mean? To make somebody whole again. And then you have to abide by those terms of, like, okay, well, I can't put this on blast because we've civilly agreed to settle or whatnot. But that's not on the public court records. You know what I'm saying? I say that same principle of nationality applies amongst nationals. Like, if it's something that, you know, I'm doing or something you've done that I might be like, yo, Cujo, you might be able to do this better. Not that I'm saying so, but I'm not going to go to the internet and make a video to let you know. I'm going to call you up or text you like, yo, I need to talk to you, bro. You know what I mean? This is what I think. Boom, boom, boom. Now, you know, you take it how you want, but this is what it is. So that being said, also knowing when and when not to interject yourself. I just say that to say it's a real fact, man. These people, a lot of people who are trying to get a rep up off of YouTube, off of the internet, fam, like if y'all only knew, you know what I'm saying? That, man, like, and don't get me wrong, I'm not blanketing everybody. Like, no, not at all. There's a lot of credible people out there. You know what I'm saying? But I'm talking about those quote-unquote new Moors, as they call themselves. You'd be surprised, man, you know, what they would really do if a dispute with another Moor came up. So I'm not playing no games, and I'm not saying no names, but I trust that with this, you know, we definitely went into the concept of that psychology. And it doesn't just exist with those you see on YouTube trying to get a name up. That, you know what I mean, Brother Kujo, I didn't mean to cut your wisdom, but salute.
No,
and,
good more. No, but again, too, it's again to stress that point that Brother Seth and RVBey brought up, that, you know, there's a degree of honor that has to be displayed if somebody says, Islam, I'm Moorish American, right? Like that's just automatic. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just automatic off the top. Like there's not even anything to, you know what I mean, get into or whatever. Automatically, it's supposed to be honorable. You know what I mean? Automatically, and once that line is crossed and things start getting into dishonesty, people aren't checked, then certain people are going to be comfortable in their dishonesty and continue acting dishonest. Like it's cool to do that. You know what I mean? And that's where my position is with dealing with these people majority of the time. You know what I mean? Because at one time I was dishonorable, so I know what's up about being dishonorable. You know what I mean? And it took work to be honorable. You know, it took you know, sacrificing, you know what I mean, many things, sacrificing even people who you might care about to get back in a position where you know for yourself that, okay, yeah, I'm doing my best to be honorable. You know what I mean? But that line is crossed. If people, you know, like I'm saying, like, you know, I said in past shows, like, back in the day, we go check people. It's not even, you know what I mean? Like, you will get checked, whoever you are, skinhead, black guy, whatever, doesn't matter. If you get too hype, you know what I mean? If you boost yourself too much, you think that, you know, you could just say what you want and stuff like that, you're going to get checked. And, you know, the noble prophet recognized that we had these mental slave issues, you know what I mean, of, you know, dealing with ourselves mainly on lower vibrations. And he put things in place for us to raise our vibration, you know what I mean? And that's why majority of stuff that I do is strictly video, because my position is certain people need to get checked, like knock their door checked, because they're violating in ways that, you know what I mean, it doesn't have to really go like that, you know what I mean? If you really have an issue with RVBey publications, keep them out your mouth. If you really don't like Moors and you think Moors, you know what I mean, correcting their status is bullshit, shut your mouth. Don't talk about it then. Because if you're going to bring it up, then clearly, you know, you're looking for a response. You know what I mean? And don't get mad of the response you get, because people are going to have this mentality that, you know, oh yeah, Moors, you know, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice and stuff like that. Yeah, but no. You know what I mean? Because, you know, justice will take its course on certain people.
Yep.
I mean, and it's not, and it might not be physical justice, because ancestors are working right now. Ethers are vibrating on a certain level where Drew Ali even said, I cast out spirits and make people humble themselves. It's not me. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But as Moorish scientists, as adepts, you know what I mean? You really think we can't, put people's name on candles and stuff like that and make stuff happen to them? This is not, you know what I mean, some BS. This is not some club stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about Orishas and stuff like that.
Oh,
that's real,
bro.
This is not, they're just saying something to sound like, we're metaphysicians or something like that. Like, there's people who I know that really know Orishas personally. Orishas check them.
Mm-hmm.
Orishas go visit them, eat food with them and stuff like that. Orishas I'm talking about. I'm not talking about people walking around, coming, push the buzzer and get let upstairs and come in the elevator. We're talking about Orisha flying up to the balcony.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what, my brother, I don't mean to cut your wisdom, but I just want to say how thankful I am for you bringing this up. Because if I ever did, if it was questions I would ask you to clarify, brother, I thought about that a couple of times. You mentioned that in the intro song, and I just would appreciate, what you're doing right now, just keep going with that energy, because explain to those who don't even know what you're talking about, what an Orisha is. You know what I mean? Because even in your lyric, you said, I'm pulling down Orishas like skull caps. Explain that, brother. I'm just thankful that you brought it up before I even could ask you. Do that, bro.
When you get to the place of being on low vibrations, you know what I mean? Engaging in things that might not be, humanitarian. And then you get knowledge of self and you realize that, there is there's a higher self and then there's a lower self. All right, we know that. Okay, but with the concept of recognizing that there's a lower self, the lower self has a higher self.
Mm-hmm.
The lower self isn't just devilish only.
Mm-hmm.
There's higher vibrational entities that exist on the low planes. That if you have the right mantras, keywords, you can access these lower level beings. In Islam they might say jinns or whatever. And if you're on a mentality of metaphysical, that those entities aren't really evil. They're there to assist you when you're in adversity.
Mm. Mm.
I mean, when for example, when you say the line, right, pulling down the Orishas like skull caps, that's real. That's not just some line in a song that sounds good or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? There's people who I know that literally, wrote somebody's name on something, did their little ritual or whatever, and that individual's coming tomorrow talking about, I can't believe, I just crashed my car in the tree, I don't know what happened.
Mm-hmm.
The wheel just got stuck and stuff like that. That's not car mechanics going bad. That's entities working with people who know how to work with entities, and there's people out there who are on those levels. And again, that's not a negative thing. So people could play games all they want you know what I mean, putting out debunking myths of that you know, righteous people are doing. You know, the entities know, just like Drew Ali said. Yeah, I know who's on my side. I don't even have to ask you, are you on my side? I know if you're on my side or not. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Right? And again, like it's not a thing where you know, people are, oh, so how could you do that, or what? There's just people that are on those vibrations.
Sure.
And,
sure, bro.
And you know, in like praise Allah that I've been in a position to witness some supernatural things that I know. You know, these people have some access to something.
Say that.
There's not some book, whatever. Oh yeah, you know, I bought an Aleister Crowley book and Madame Blavatsky book, so I read through the book, and then, you know what I mean, I could do some rituals because I could draw pentagram with salt or whatever. That's not the stuff that I'm talking about.
I heard that, bro. Oh man.
And people have to you know, not even necessarily everybody. People who are playing around, like they want to disrupt people who are doing things for humanity. It's like you might hear, for example, you might watch some Taj lectures, and he talks about people who, you know, go against the principles. You know, nature has something for you. He's not talking about Mother Nature or winds blowing and stuff like that. He's talking about entities that you get what you ask for, and you get what you don't ask for. So make sure you know what the hell you're asking for. Because you start calling people's names and stuff, and, you know what I mean, they're doing certain works that they were ordained to do by the higher force, and you're trying to stop them from doing their ordained work that the higher force sent them to do. Trust me, you got something coming. And it's nothing personal against, you know what I mean, that individual who's trying to undermine. You know what I mean? It's just, you know, every action, you're going to get a reaction. And the reaction might not be physical. It might be spiritual. It might be etheric. You know what I mean? It might be mental. You don't know what you're going to get. That's why Drew Ali told Moors, you know, learn to love instead of hate, because if you push hate out there, when hate comes back, you don't know what that is that's coming back. You might not be able to pick up on, you know, the thing that's coming before it's too late. And you don't want to be in those situations being blindsided by spirits attacking you. You know what I mean? Like when these people get sleep paralysis and stuff like that, they're talking about, oh yeah, you know, no, I just had that. That's entities attacking you for whatever it is that you did. You know, whether you left yourself open, you're listening to, you know what I mean, people on YouTube talking about, yeah, astral projection and stuff like that, whatever like that. You leave yourself open, going and traveling the universe, you leave your body open. You think that there's not entities that are going to jump into your body and stuff like that? You know what I mean? You know, when they talk about truth and falsehood strangely mixed, and you know, these sayings that people just look at from a surface, they don't look at it the deeper meaning. You know, just like when we say write writs, and people just think, oh yeah, you know, just put this on paper, and don't realize that that's a ritual that they're doing.
Say that.
You know what I mean? Like imagine you send a writ to whoever that's coming at you, and when they open the envelope or whatever, words are jumping off the page onto them.
Yo, that's crazy. Hey, bro, I don't want you to cut your thought. I want you to put a pin in it right there and get back to it. Bro, I just wanted to let you know real quick. I had to send a writ out back in 2011, Gregorian calendar. I knew that the writ I was sending out, it was going to be some real heated electricity, you know, considering my situation at the time and who I was talking to. But what I did was, it was an incense called, it is an incense called Dragon's Blood. And it's meant to clear out, you know, negative energy. They have the raw dragon's blood that's directly from the tree. And again, we're not on no Ku Klux Klan type of dragon. We're talking about like dealing with the spirit, the higher self, as far as like the dragon, the kundalini, that wisdom energy. Before I put it in a envelope, an 8.5, 11 envelope. I lit an incense or two, if I'm not mistaken, and I let the smoke go straight up into the envelope. You know what I mean? With the paper in it and everything. I saged the paper. I let the smoke touch all of the paper from the incense, and then I let it hit all up in the envelope, the yellow envelope that I was mailing it in. All of that, you know. And I'm like, yeah, this right here, this is my security on my message, not just for now, but for the future. And the response I got back from these Europeans, I could just tell they had to go through an exorcism. Like it wasn't a favorable, but it was a favorable reply at the same time. But yeah. I'm like, damn, you know, I had to question myself. I'm like, I know my intentions when I, you know, did this on this particular writ, that I didn't intend anything bad, and I had no bad intentions. But the energy that was in the envelope, when they opened that, I know for a fact it had to clear some of their negativity and their ill intentions, because that's what the point of this particular incense is to do. You know what I'm saying? Is to get that out the way. So I did that, and at the particular time, I didn't get the reply I wanted. But as I look back in hindsight now, I say, damn, it was a favorable reply, because when I saw that level of hate that was going on amongst those, you know, who are supposed to be the savior of quote-unquote citizens of the USA and all of this here, I said, you know what? That's cool. They got to go through their exorcism. I already went through mine, so I'm not tripping. But the most valuable thing that I got from it was I know for a fact that these are the same people, and these supposed to be trusted seats that are warring against us. So the favorability in it for me was being very clear on who's absolutely for suppressing us all. I don't care if you, you know, are more not in the temple, you're more in the temple, seeing what they have to say about us collectively. So I'm not confused present day. You get what I'm saying? And for me, that's a divinity, because I know who is who and who is not. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. What is what, who is who, you know? And I feel thankful to have that particular affirmative insight, because it didn't discourage me to say, oh, I'm not going to be affiliated with Moors anymore. I'm not trying to associate with Moors because NASA don't accept it. No. I had a foundation before I made a move, so when I saw this, I'm like, all right, I know where we stand. We are not friends. You already declared certain things. You ain't got to convince me. I'm not looking for your support at this point. Why? Because I know who you are. Not because
Right.
I guess, because you showed me. You know what I'm saying? And for that, I'm thankful. You know what I'm saying? Because confused. I know my salvation, and our salvation is not in the modern Europeans' judicial system as it is today. I know that's a fact. This is not going to happen. So for me, I'm looking at it like, all right, so I know I have a nationality. I'm not confused about that. I know I'm not Negro, black, or colored, or African American, Ethiopian. Certainly not confused about that. That was the easiest point that could be disproved for me. Like, I don't know what's going on with these sleepy-headed Moors, you know, who are Dr. Martin Luther King dreaming, you know, and I say that all due respect, you know, Dr. Martin Luther King's born day just was this week, last week, whatever, but it's some sleepy-headed Moors still dreaming, you know what I mean? And indeed, for the most part, though they try to do it on the private side, these Europeans are not amped up to jump in your defense, literally, like ASAP. Like, nah. They want to take you through what the oppression that their foremothers and forefathers somewhat bestowed so that they could keep their legacy going. Because for me, I understand that the Europeans subjecting Moors, the modern Europeans, shall I say, subjecting Moors, for them, that's how they're supposed to secure their legacy. Little do they know that's not going to work. You know what I mean? Like, they can't subject us forever. And it's like, for me, little do we know that all we have to do is continue to be ourselves, stand on our national principles, nationality, and understand our standing as a collective body. Oh, man. Hold on. Wow, bro. Hold on. Pardon me. Time flies. Okay. It's about a minute and a half left before the end of the class. So for the internet listeners, we apologize. You can definitely go back and to the rest of the last hour on the archives. I just want to let you all know the Sons of Allah for February, February 2016 will not be the third Thursday. It'll actually be the fourth. So meaning February 25th, 2016 Gregorian calendar, we'll be having the Sons of Allah and Sisters of Standing on Law will not be this Sunday the 24th. It will actually be January 31st for common usage and common timekeeping. Sister Standing on Law is January 31st. And the next Sons of Allah will be February 25th, but as you know, you can get us all collectively every Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll be back again Tuesday. Previous to that, Cujo will be going into online Ustream. So please stay in tune, and we'll definitely be right back with some more information. But cool, I think at this particular time, the live internet feed is down. So I just want to say big thanks for all of the callers who called in, who are listening in. Those who have their hand up, please keep it up. I see you. We will definitely get to you in a couple of moments because we have limited time now. We're on the last hour. But we could go in on this conversation for so much more. But, you know, I definitely want to get to and hear what the brethren and sistren they have to say. Not for nothing, Cool Joe. I think this was a very great conversation in that we was really just getting started with it. You know, that's how I feel about it. But I say that to say again, you know, the negative energy that comes back may not necessarily be yours. It might be that particular individual that you're dealing with, because you got to remember, you know, before you see somebody in a black robe on a bench, you know, in allegedly in a position to make a determination on your life, that first and foremost, that's another individual or another being. You know what I mean? So they are who they are no matter what position they are in. They are who they are as an individual. And sometimes, you know, you might be dealing with a quote-unquote judge who's really a magistrate who they might have relics, you know, texts that, you know, their great-great-great-great-grandfather was, you know, in some part of war that helped contribute to overthrowing Moors, and they want to keep their legacy alive and all of this. Yeah. You never know who you're dealing with. So my thing is, whenever you're dealing with somebody, it's a lot in the appellation to get a general idea of the circumstances that you're dealing with and what malicious feelings they might have as an individual being towards you, to understand your position, and why some magistrates claiming to be judges might be more respectful than others, you know, because they even though they're all Europeans, got to remember they had inner fights with themselves too, just like Moors did. Yeah. So you had some Moors who wanted to see, you know, the advancement of Moors. You had some Moors who wanted to see the advancement of Europeans. You had some Europeans who wanted to see the advancement of Europeans, some Europeans who wanted to see the advancement of Moors. It's like, it's almost like a energy, as you were saying, not really a body type circumstance, to say the least.
So, this is why when Moors who are, you know, standing up for their rights engage some people, whether it's you know, court, you know, or pseudo court, or on the street, or a store, you put your nationality card down and they're fighting you with it and all that stuff, is because, you know, they know that we are the ancestors, the ancients returning, because there's been a mist placed over the people to get them to be Negro black colored, and you come out the mist with your fez on and stuff like that, talking about you're not Negro black colored. Trust me, these people realize that something's up. Whether they know it or not, they know that something's up, because you're not acting like the average nigger to them when you stand on your right. You know what I mean? They have an expectation that all of us have forgotten. You know what I mean? All of us are we don't have a clue about our ancient foremothers and forefathers. We are not connected to a vine and fig tree. We're just floating. But when you show that you have that connection, you know what I mean? It's like a good example is you know, Moors, for example, wearing their fez for the first time in public and getting the reaction of people that are strangers. Same thing that we're talking about with, you know, law dictionary, the strangers. And you know, they you know, every action you're gonna get a reaction. And the action of a high concentrated melanin being not exercising as all the rest of them, you know what I mean, does something to the ethers. Like, it literally does something. Whether that individual is fully not competent or whether they just came on this information yesterday, as soon as you start exercising, as soon as you start being what you know, as soon as you start honoring your foremothers and forefathers, you're going to get a reaction from these people. And you have to have your shield for whatever reaction you get, whether positive or negative. It's just like when we say, reserve your rights. And then Moors would ask, well, should I reserve my rights? Is my free national name? Because, I'm a Moor. Why would I reserve my rights? Because you should always have your shield on you. You're not going to, put your shield down. You should always have your shield on you. Your shield should always be in front of you, between you and whoever. I don't care if that is somebody who you care about or whatever. There could be somebody behind them trying to attack you. You're not just going to leave yourself open just because, we think that we made it to the promised land and all that stuff. That's not what's going on. We're forever, not forever, but we're continually under occupation. In some way, shape, or form, there's an opposing force. And remember that when you look at the things like Inquisition, Salem witch trials and stuff like that, a lot of people, when they see Moors in their DNA, they're revisiting those things. That's why they get panicky when Moors come around, because they're looking at it like we're back for payback. For what was done. So they have their shield up. They have their defense up. They're not playing around with, putting their defense down when Moors come around.
Right.
You know what I mean? Unless you have an individual who they know what's up. You know what I mean? And they know that it's a clean slate and they have to yield. It's the same thing like we're talking about these, certain situations where, Moors get mad because they didn't even get to go on and stand on the square. You know what I mean? As soon as you walk in the building, they're like, yo, sorry, we already dismissed your stuff. You can go home.
Yeah.
And you have your stacks of paperwork. You didn't get to go in there and put your stuff on the record and tell them about no jurisdiction and all that.
Right.
They already know what's up. They already know. They're like, we're not even having that go down right now. We're gonna take the position of yielding. Because it is that powerful. It is that powerful.
For sure.
And
for sure.
Not to continue on what we already know, but because I know that you said that there was hands up or whatever, but we're in an amazing time right now if we have this information. You know what I mean? Forget who doesn't have it and who has it, but they're doing BS with it. The ones who have it and they're competent and they're, recognizing what they have, it's a beautiful time, Morris.
For sure. Greatest time to be alive. Greatest time to be alive. And with that said, listen, we definitely have some literature coming out down the line. Not trying to waste time disputing with incompetent people. We're going to keep putting the facts out there and let them speak for themselves. So definitely keep staying in tune with RVBey Publications, what Canaan Land Moors are doing. I appreciate it all active Moors. But my brother, time is flying, man. I feel like we've only been talking 20 minutes. I really feel like that right now. And we have a couple of hands up. So what we're going to respectively do at this particular point, because we have less than an hour left, is take some callers, because you all are important to us too. We definitely want to know what you have to say, what you have to ask or add on, anything we can take part in ameliorating. We're definitely here for that. So if it's all right with you, at this particular point, bro, I think we should open up the lines, fam. And
Definitely.
Indeed. So we're gonna start with caller 205-253. Hold up, pardon me. All right, hold on, pardon me. 205-253. You're live on the air. Are you with us?
Islam.
Islam.
Yeah, Islam. This is our brother Najee Ill checking in one time. What's up, brother Cujo?
What's good, Moor?
Brother. As always, just music, man. I'm loving the show. It was so many points, brother Mizraim, you hit. You covered a lot of bases. Both of y'all covered a lot of bases this evening, because there has been a lot of dirty stuff going on, as we can all see. And like you guys said, if you at that level in terms of understanding and competence, is pretty easy, because culture's in the language, as we all know. I just wanted to get a couple things in the record, because when you got to talking about strangers, I looked over at the next page and noticed strict and stricted jurist and so on and so forth. And right under stricted jurist, it tells you, just in the quote explaining it, a license is a thing, strictly jurist, privilege which man does not possess by his own right, but is conceded to him as an indulgence, and therefore it is be strictly observed. Second Robert admin 117. But I say that to say, when a couple of things. One, you're dealing with strict law. You can't just play around and think that you can go in there with your own conception, or understanding based on what somebody else told you, and not based on your study, and I mean thorough study, because it'll get you messed up, because they will strictly construe things against you based on their strict law, and you'll be strictly locked up. And if you don't have enough, because I get a lot of brothers that come at me and they ask me a lot of things, and I tell them, hey, if you're not studied enough to where, you could get some toilet tissue and some crayons and get what you need to do done, I'm talking about writing the whole writ out, you ain't ready.
Mm-hmm. Say that.
They going to put you in them kind of situations, and they going to put that kind of pressure on you if you really know what you're talking about, because they're trying to make an example of all the other clowns. But as we all know, if you do it right the first time, you ain't got to do it over and over and over again. But next, I wanted to put on the record one of my favorite books, the Treaty and Friendship, Peace and Friendship book, that you can find on RVBey publications. And the Charge d'Affaires letter from the Citizenship of the United States Expatriation, ETC 459, and on page 460, number 1, citizenship in Morocco may be said to be governed by the laws pertaining to the same in other countries, with the exception that all persons residing in Morocco who cannot prove foreign citizenship or protection are considered ipso jure as Moorish subjects. Right? So it's self-explanatory. Now, what we find ourselves caught up in, second or 2 and 3 right here, where it says Moorish subjects lost their nationality only by becoming naturalized in, comma, or protected by, comma, another country having treaty relations with the Moorish Empire. And then it's, it goes on to say from July 3rd, 1880, as follows. Any subject of Morocco who has been naturalized in a foreign country and who shall return to Morocco shall, after having remained for a length of time equal to that which shall have been regularly necessary for him to obtain such naturalization, choose between entire submission to the laws of the empire and the obligation to quit Morocco, unless it shall be proved that his naturalization in a foreign country was obtained with the consent of the government of Morocco, period. And then it goes on to say, foreign naturalization heretofore acquired by subjects of Morocco according to the rules established by the laws of each country shall be continued to them as regards all effects without any restriction. Now, I would just love for you brothers to just go in from that point right there, if you would.
Well,
Islam?
Yeah, basically Islam. No, before that, I just want to ask you this question. You said your appellation was Najee, right?
No, Najee Ill.
Najee Ill. So pardon me, and you know, I don't mean to assume, but that appellation rings bells. First and foremost, I like to say this, and I'll be honored if this is true. If not, still big salute to you, brother. But are you the brethren who, and it's nothing hostile, I really appreciate this, whoever it was. But it was a Moor, if I'm not mistaken, with the appellation Najee, who decided to put some of the classes out on YouTube. I personally, I appreciate that. I just didn't know if that was you, first and foremost, in respect. And if so, you know, salute. If not, I apologize. But I just wanted to be sure, is that the brethren that is on the air right now?
Islam.
Like some of the MHHS blogs and Tuesday Principles of Nationality and Action, Sons of Allah, Sisters Standing on Law. I've seen some of those or listened back on YouTube, and I didn't know if that was you, my brethren.
Islam, yeah, this is the same one.
All right, true indeed. So, at this particular time, first and foremost, I just want to say, thank you, bro. You know what I'm saying? First and foremost, thanks to you for taking on that endeavor. You know what I mean? When we put information out, you know, we don't do this at any cost at all. You know what I'm saying? But for you to take your time out and say, look, you know, sometimes they snatch files off of there. I'm posting it on YouTube too. I personally just want to say, you know, thank you for staying in tune and doing that. So I feel at this particular time honored to speak with you or even build with you or listen to you, because I thought that was really, really cool, you know. And I never got a chance to say that before, so I just say that now while you on the line, bro. Big shout out to that. Moors are again trying to advance the message that the jour Moors are bringing, and there's not a lot of people who would endeavor to take the time out to do that. So what you're doing opposed to what others are doing or might not be able to do, you know, I think that's really, really cool, man, and I trust you stay on your path as far as you getting message out to where it needs to be, man. So besides that, you know, I just wanted to add on, because I know we have a lot more callers left, and I think we might be able to pick back up on that particular subject. But basically, man, it's like this. Moors rule the entire planet. You know, if they can't prove that they are who they say, or most of the times they don't even say they are, you know. But the double-edged sword to that particular reference you brought up is that if they're not claiming to be Europeans or they can't prove their citizenship anywhere else, by the fact alone, they're more subjects. Why? Because Moors authorized the treaty for them to even do anything in the Western Hemisphere. And on top of that, you know, we were everywhere in the East and West Hemisphere. And I think that's inclusive of, and excuse me, not I think, when I say East and West Hemisphere, I trust that's also inclusive of the North and South Hemisphere. So that's what I mean. So they can't, you know, affirm that, look, I'm an Irishman of Irish citizenship. By the fact alone, being as though Moors had a global empire, undeniable, they would be considered more subjects, man. And that's just a synopsis for now. But I'll yield the floor for Cujo to add on before we take more calls.
Well, I'll
and again,
let
big
it use right there, man. Because I was right, nigga.
Yeah. For sure. For sure. So, bro, we would love to just endeavor to go in on that. But we definitely have a substantial amount of callers that will probably take up the rest of this show. But we'll definitely keep that question on the forefront for particular broadcasts and classes that we do via MHHS Principles of Nationality and Action, via MHHS Sons of Allah, via MHHS Sister Standing on Law. We can definitely, all listeners now, look forward to going into that a little bit more. But if we can, you know, we don't want to cut anybody's wisdom. But like I said, man, it felt like we was only talking for 20 minutes. And
yeah, it's crazy.
We don't want to leave anybody out. We don't want to blitz through it, but we just want to leave the diversity of the different things to be said wide open. So we'll definitely get to that. We're not avoiding any questions, my brethren. Is that cool? And keep doing what you're doing as far as getting the message out, bro.
Oh, no, bro. I just wanted to put that on the people's. I just really wanted to put that on the record, for real. Like, I know it ain't enough time in the world to really unpack that one. But I love what y'all brothers are doing. I just had to call in and, you know, show love and support, because I always listen. I just don't always get a chance to call in because I'm always, you know, ripping and running. But y'all keep doing what y'all doing, brothers. Y'all motivate me. Peace and love to all them active Moors, man, because it's a lot of dirty ones out here. and with that, I yield the floor. Wow.
Wow, thank you, brother. Thank you. And with that being said, highly thank the brethren for calling in. But I also wanted to say, you know, to other Moors who may be listening and never call in, fam, call in with your perspective. You know what I mean? This is not, you know, for the most part, it's a judgment-free zone. Either we're going to build on to what you have to say, you know what I mean, or somebody is going to leave enlightened from a false premise or a right premise or whatever it is. So if you're a Moor and you're just sitting back listening and you got that question, but you're like, damn, I don't want to ask because I might be embarrassed to the question. No, fam. Call in, ask that question. If not tonight, or anything that we're doing, you know what I mean? Ask those questions, because that state that you're in, you know, being able to clarify that, it's not just advancement for you, but for everybody. So with that being said, we want to go to the next caller, and that would be caller 513-981. You're live on the air. Are you with us?
Yes, peace, Moor. I'm with you. Islam.
Islam.
Yes,
Peace,
this is peace. So, yeah, you guys were going in all night. So I just wanted to say, it was a lot of points made, like the brother said, and starting from the top of the class. You guys were talking about competent Moors going through or facing some battles, and how the Prophet said that he's going to let the fire hit some of his good Moors. And I was sitting just thinking and listening after I heard that, and I was thinking, why would he say the fire was going to hit some of his own or some of his good Moors? And I was thinking that it wasn't just, he wasn't saying that just towards court battles. He was saying that also towards your own people, that you were going to be going through stuff. And so with that, it made me think about, you know, why do we have to go through some of the things that we go through? And the reason why is because a soldier never know his strength without, a soldier never know his strength without a foe. So that's what came to my mind. And then you guys start talking about going into that definition of a stranger. And so I was following along, and I got my Black Law Dictionary out too. And when you was reading stranger, it was a word above the word stranger, and it was called stranger in blood. I don't know if you saw that when it was called stranger in blood. And no, we don't promote division towards our own people, but the reality is they divide themselves, and they're becoming strangers in blood. And so with that, it reminded me again of something the prophet said. He said that the only thing that would surprise me is if a Moor do good. To me, that reminded me of the dirty Moors that's out here doing so much. This isn't nothing new. This always been. This is the reason why we as Moor are in the position we are today, and still in the position we are today for so long, is because we allow ourselves to stay divided over silly stuff. I'm just say that, or silly things. So another thing, you were talking about sin. You were talking about sin, Miss, like people sinning. And I was thinking about how that I don't know what I didn't see the document which you were reading off of, but I just, from listening to the document and from listening to what the individual wrote, and how they was basically, like you said, clinging to their master, or trying to promote with the master, or trying to promote a quasi-jurisdiction policy, or trying to promote policies over de jure law. I'm going to say that. So it reminds me of what the prophet said again. It said, it is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitution and laws, and to cling those things that delude to slavery or principles. So exactly. So for them to promote policies over the constitutional laws, that is a sin in itself. That's a sin, because they're clinging to the principles that delude to slavery, and they also clinging wanting their masters to recognize them. That's slavery. That's a sin. That's clinging to slavery. That's clinging to principles that delude to slavery. And so the prophet said, the prophet was prepared from the great God Allah to warn my people to repent from their sinful ways. And that is one of the sinful ways that we need to correct. Last, and because I just got a lot of notes, last thing I wanted to hit was how you were talking about people trying to get their names out there, something that the prophet wrote. He said, I have done more than you think. I want you to help me by your good deeds of living at home and abroad. It is through your good, not with your lips, trying to be the front seat of everything. So to me, that reminded me of them using basically a lot of people, I don't know that particular, but I know for just reading online, on YouTube, a lot of Moors are doing a lot of lip talking, but not doing a lot of deeds, using their mouth a lot and not really putting nothing into action. So he also said, be careful. Moors, be careful of your steps. So, you were talking about good Moors or the new Moors. A lot of people, the people that's calling themselves the new Moors, be careful of your steps. That's all I have to say is be careful of steps because he said he is not asleep. So if a lot of, this is just, off my notes. I've seen a lot of people put out things in the name of good intentions or they trying to help other Moors not go down the wrong path or whatever like that. But my thing is this. If you really, truly had good intentions, you wouldn't never use, when you're trying to uplift the people, you wouldn't never use anything to put down your own brother or your own sister. That's not good intentions or good deeds to me. Because if you really trying to give them the truth don't need anything. The truth don't need anything, no apology. You don't need nobody. You don't need you to put down anybody else while you spitting out the truth, because the truth is the only thing that changes, not Islam.
Mm-hmm. Man, thank you so much for adding that on. You just took us so many places back in reflection. I had a question off top, but it fleeted from me, and I know it'll come back. But I at this particular point, I just have to say thank you for adding on. That was powerful. Thank you again for adding on.
All right, peace. I know you got other callers.
Yup, for sure. Peace. All right. Cujo, did you want to add something on before we take the next call?
Yeah, just to also stress the point that on the 101 cover, that's an example of why Noble Drew Ali was holding the sister, not a brother.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep that in mind, because the work that has to get done, the straightening up that's going to be straightened up is going to be when sisters recognize what it is that he brought them.
True.
Right, and again, use the example of, Sister Raz, Anaida, Sister Selah Bey, and all these ancestors returned that are speaking up. You know what I mean? And demonstrating what it is that Noble Drew Ali taught. Because he did make it clear, you know what I mean, that our duty is to uplift fallen humanity. And we haven't even been able to really experience what that really means yet. But we're making our way towards that. I mean, so honors to all of the Moabites that realize what Noble Drew Ali brought, and they're taking the steps to make sure that they're doing their part in using their influence, their female influence, to raise up the nation. Islam to that.
Islam, and I just wanted to, before you take me off, I just wanted to say this is Sister Jayana Bay calling from Northwestern Maxim, and Islam to all the people that do call in and ask questions, because I was one of those people that never called in, and when people called in and asked the questions, my answers will always get answered. So thank you for asking those questions that I was scared to ask. Peace.
Peace.
Sure, salute. Yes, definitely. And that's definitely highly a great thing. He insists on it, on what she go. Oh, yeah, definitely. Check out an article on RVBey Publications about the infant identification card, or the child identification card. It was a really interesting point to be brought out. But again, we have a lot of callers. We definitely will catch up on those things. But respect to the rest of the callers, I'm going to take the next one. All right, so caller 803-290. You're live on the air. Are you with us? Sister Islam. 803-290. Are you with us? Islam, are you with us? Joe, is it me? All right.
Yeah, guess nobody's there. That was a revelation.
All right, cool. So I apologize, but limited time left, so we're gonna go to the next caller. Oh, my fault. Go ahead. My bad, but 804. Before you go on, I just want to let caller 804-921. Are you with us, man?
Yes, I am, Noble.
All right, hold on 1 second. We live on the air all together, but Cujo was about to add on a vital point. So before you go in.
I wasn't adding on. I was just saying, keep going if nobody was there.
Oh, pardon me. All right, so caller 804-920. Family, what's going on?
Everything, man. It's a lovely call, man. This is Brother Azad calling from the northwest of Mexham.
Peace,
man, I'm gonna tell you, you're right. You can't say it's no way that we could actually say what we need to say in this short period of time. I mean, this is a lifetime thing that my grandbabies hopefully will be talking about. To uplift the community, and we have uplifted from that to go on to the next level of the fight. I was listening to. I had a question. I was listening to Brother Cujo earlier on his channel, and he had some excellent points because I didn't get a chance to look at that interview with this lawyer or legal liar or whatever. And yeah. I got a whiff of the interview because, like I said, I don't follow, that madness, but I heard you all talk about it, and I had to get a whiff of it. But the question, I had a brother, he posted something, and he said, did the conscious community fail the unconscious community? And he posted a video, and I looked at his video, and, he was kind of spewing about the Moors and back and forth and this and that, and he wasn't particularly singling anyone out, but my question is it would be the same one, because I answered his question, and I said that I don't think that the conscious community failed the unconscious community, because sometimes, even in this fight, when I myself go and talk to unconscious people, and I have to remember that at one point in time I was unconscious as well, that every time that I speak with them, even I don't know if it's my tone or whatever's going on, but they don't receive it very well, and it makes it where you kind of, with myself, my opinion of it, where it makes it hard to talk to people. So my question would be, because this whole thing, because I watched that video, I didn't watch it all, but I kind of got to the middle when the sister was talking about, what did she say? Something about if a Moor was to get hit by a car and all this stuff, they would go into the court system to sue and all that stuff. And it's amazing the stuff that they come up with. But my question, because like I said, there's no way that I can get all my questions answered. I have 1,200,000. I can't even say it properly. But it's just so many questions.
Sure. You know what? I just want to leave it at this, in all due respect. You was talking about Moors having conversations, and my cousin told me something the other day that I think is so accurate. Some unlearned I think I'm crazy for saying this, but what she said, from what she's been through, is the best conversation you could probably ever have really is with yourself, man. Leave it at that.
Okay.
Yeah, because remember that once you go on the angle of, you know, you're not Negro black colored, right? And they're trying to defend that they're black and all that stuff. You already know that. You just give them the website if you're going to have a conversation with them. Here, check this website out, RVBeypublications.com, and you go about your business. And with regard to the conscious community failing, yeah, they failed these people miserably, because all these conscious people's foundation is Noble Drew Ali, and none of them talk about him except Moors. And the ones that do talk about him from some menial perspective, like he's just some black guy that came to, you know, to bring some Islamic perspective to black people. So yeah, they failed them miserably. And they're still around today, still failing them, still calling themselves conscious when really they're unconscious. The unconscious people are really the conscious ones. You know, like I even put up on Facebook the other day, even Martin Luther King Jr. came out and told these people, you know what, I think I led my people into a burning building with this integration BS that I was trying to push. But they don't want to listen to him. They're still out there marching, you know, Martin Luther King Day, they're going marching still. When he wasn't down with marching, he was about enforcing the Constitution when they assassinated him. He wasn't on no marching no more. Marching was over. El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz, he said, forget all that black stuff and all that. That's not what's going on. But they still call him Malcolm X, though. They don't call him El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz.
Say that.
And why? Because the conscious community keeps calling him Malcolm X when they're supposed to be conscious and know that he did the Hajj, has a free national name, because El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz, that's a free national name.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But they'll play their little game, you know, in order to, just like we were talking about earlier, boost themselves. Yeah, we honor this person, we honor that person. They have no honor in them. Unfortunately. But, you know, that's why Moors are here, because we're the ones that have superior knowledge. And, you know, that's not, you know, boosting us, but it kind of is boosting us, because we're the only ones out here with any information that's going to do anything to help these unconscious people get conscious.
Mm-hmm. Say that. With that being said, family, please, I know listen, this went so fast. There's so much going on. But please understand, this Tuesday at 9:30 p.m., we'll be back on with also my mother, Roz Mariah, and Anna E. So you know what to happen from now to then. But for those whose questions may not be able to come across the airwaves tonight, please call in Tuesday early so you can get in and present your questions, because I think this is a subject that everyone might have an opinion on, and I wouldn't want to slight anybody, you know, especially us here, the good people at RVBeypublications.com, and Canaan Land Moors everywhere. You know what I mean? What you have to ask is very important. So with that being said, real quick, without further ado, I want to bring on the specialist guest right now. 609-404. My mom are live with us.
Yes, I am here. Islam and peace and love to everyone. Oh man, you guys really hit on some interesting things, and one of them I found very interesting, and that was how you put together the covenant and the stranger. And a lot of people may not recognize what a covenant is, but it's an agreement. And so the covenant of the Asiatic nation, right, chapter 25, and it says in it, do not accept a stranger over your own, right? And so then you read stranger, and it's like, wow, one who's not a part of the covenant. So they're not members of the Asiatic nation. But, so that's a great point that's brought out. There's a lot of great points brought out. Just a minute ago, Cujo, what you were saying, and you always have said this, if people don't want their nationality, if they don't want their birthright, that's their problem. Because the prophet, they're not Negro, colored, and black. There's no need to go any further. So in these days and time, if one does not know that they're not Negro, colored, and black with all this information, or don't want to know, or don't want to accept it for whatever reason, either they're aging against them, really they're aging against themselves, or whatever their position is, it really doesn't matter, because this is just where it is right now. And if they don't want it, they don't want it. So that's the way that goes. And if you can't convince them of that, because if they understood they're not Negro, colored, and black, then they would be studying and questioning, well, who am I? And, what is this? And then they would do the study and know who they are. And as you guys had brought together, to tie to your ancestors, because you're nothing but an ancestry return. And right, and then we wouldn't really be having these problems. And the other thing, so therefore we shouldn't spend our time with people who don't want their birthright. And Cujo says it all the time. They don't want it. That's up to them. And this unity thing, and the prophet said that this is the uniting of Asia. So this is where the sister who was just on, Sister Gianna, and she's the one who had the article about the child identification card, which you will find on Food for Thought page. She told what she was basically saying was about the truth. Now, see, they said the truth needs no apology. And it's true. Now, if you go to the Mysteries of the Secret Brotherhood of the East, chapter 4, and in part, it's before I say that, I just want one other thing. The other brother that came in and read from the Expatriation Act about being a Moorish subject, page I think it's 595, because that's in the treaty of the treaty booklet, and I think we also have that on the site. And it says in it, if so jure you're a Moor, right? So all that is proven is that, as you said, we are the mothers and fathers of civilization on the entire planet. And that the subject is those who are not the nationals, who are not the Moors, that can't prove that they naturalized with the authority of a Moor. See, this naturalization thing is not really real. These are foreigners. So a lot of our Moors think, because they don't study enough, that we're the subjects. Oh, yeah, well, if you're a Moor, you're just a Moorish subject. No, others are the Moorish subject. So they should look into that information. And also on that same page, I believe it is, it says that this country is not built on Christianity at all. So it's not a Christian nation. So that should let you know that is not, that you cannot be of that Christian nation. When you read the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, it says between Moors and the Christian powers. It doesn't say Christian nation, actually. But I just want to just end with this about this truth thing, because all we're doing, as I think one of you mentioned, is just putting the truth out there, because the truth is the light. The light brings you to the dawning of your awareness, and it is your awareness that will end up setting you free. So in chapter 4 of the Mysteries of the Secret of the Mysteries of the Silent Brotherhood of the East, I'm not reading the whole thing, but just from 8, where Rabbi Barachia, speaking with Yahshua, says, wow, your words are seasoned with the salt of wisdom that is from above. Who is the teacher? So let's open up this truth to you. And Yahshua said, I do not know any teacher who has opened up this truth for me. It seems to me that truth was never shut. that it was always opened up, for truth is one, and it is everywhere. And if we open up the windows of our mind at home, for truth can find her way through any crevice, any window, in any door. And the rabbi said, well, what hand is strong enough to open up the windows and the doors of our mind so that truth can enter in? Now, that's the sign of the mental slavery. You can't open up your own mind, right? So, right. So Yeshua said, well, it seems to me that love, the golden cord that binds the 10 Commands in one, is strong enough to open any human door so that truth can enter in and cause the heart to understand. And that's why the first principle is love. And with that is wonderful demonstration of information this evening. And I thank you for sharing that information with others. Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's the divine, you know what I mean, the divine lesson, you know, that Noble Drew Ali brought, that all these so-called leaders, conscious people, were supposed to take and give to everybody else so they can be where we're at right now.
Mm-hmm.
And they chose not to do that, right? They chose to be opportunists with this information. They chose to you know, give people pieces of it under the guise of let's make them conscious. Instead of giving them the whole pie, give them a slice. Tell them that, yeah, you know, you're not ready for this and all that type of stuff.
Well,
then it's basic lessons. Like, all you gotta do is just read the mysteries of the Silent Brotherhood and the Holy Quran, and you'll clear yourself from mental slavery tomorrow.
You know what, Kuzo, you are so right, so right. And that's another thing you guys did touch on very well, is that if each one of us would just, like you said, read this information, read what the prophet put out, not what somebody's opinion about it, you would automatically see that. And you would automatically see the atrocities of this Grand Sheik, whoever he was, I'm not mentioning it, talking about, you know, I tried what it says on RVBey, and, you know, the legal system doesn't accept that. I mean, this person is just not qualified. But how many people will, you know, be there and listen to them because they're not studying themselves, and because they think that just because it's the MSC of A that it's correct, and not realize that it's corrupted, and not know the history to recognize that it's corrupted. But that the key is for them to read themselves, and then they would know. Because the mysteries of the secret brotherhood of East and also chapter 8, that's what keeps us going a lot of times when things, you know, get a little rough. Remind you that, look, you just, you know, you got to keep on the path. And the sister, oh, man, she brought out something good, too, when she says, I'm going to put the fire under some good Moors. She was absolutely right. That's to keep the good Moors motivated to stay on the path.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know.
Yeah, my fault. I was muted, but I wanted to say thank you. The biggest thanks in the world to you. And I mean that. And on the Eid as well, like, even for us to even be on this platform, like a lot of people don't know, y'all really make it happen. Y'all make it happen on this side. So I just wanted to say thanks to y'all. Because we were the overall direction that from, look, it's not enough time to express how I feel, but thanks to y'all. You know what I mean? And I'm going to leave it at that because I know you was about to add something on. We got like 4 minutes left.
I'm done. Y'all really hit it well. People would like meditate, or really meditate is nothing but think, and then go back and listen to some of the points that were made on this particular, show. You know, like you said, it was a lot of sharing of information, but it was necessary. And if they would just marinate on it, they would see, and they would look at some of these people in a different manner, and then get on the stick and do their own studies. Study the Prophet's work himself if you want to get involved in this Moorish divine and national movement of the world. At least read what he said. At least at the minimum.
Sure. And to add on, if you do read what he said, you're going to be inspired to read everything else that's out there. Like that's right. Basically what it boils down to. If you really read what he said, don't get caught up on he said this, he said that. Why did he say this? Why did he say that? What else did he say? You know what I mean? When you look at chapter 3 and he says study, 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 you don't take that to heart. He didn't say study me, study me, study me. Study, study, study. That's an unbiased, uncircumscribed statement 3 times. So,
yeah, but chapter 3 is the chapter on unity, so you know you should be reading that one and see what he's saying to obtain that unity that you keep saying we need.
There it is. There it is. You know what I mean? So it don't stop there. That's what he was trying to let Moors know. Same thing that Yahshua was trying to let Moors know. Like, look, I'm not all of that and that. I'm just your brother, man, coming to show the way. What I've done, you can do, and
a man can do.
Some of you are even going to do greater than me. So just know, don't even get caught up in that. It is no necromancy type of situation.
But come on, it's just the mental slavery. It's the mental slavery. People are used to getting someone else to represent them. It's an indoctrination that is a part of the mental slavery, and the Prophet said, I've come to take you out of the mental slavery. That's all that it is. So it can be changed overnight if the person has the will, the desire to make that change. It's just as simple. It's not up to me, you, or anyone else. It's up to them.
Right. For sure. And with that, big thanks for all the listeners tonight. Those who will go back and listen to the archives. We have about a minute left. Just a reminder again, Eyes Wide Open, Principles of Nationality and Action is Tuesday, 9:30 p.m. Prior to that, at 7:30 p.m., 7 to 7:30, Cujo, clarify that, it will be the Canaan Land Moors online, Kanato online, Ustream. Definitely check that out prior to, and then join us to close out the night. And also keep in mind, real quick, Sister Standing on Law, January 31st, Gregorian calendar. The next Sons of Allah, February 25th, Gregorian calendar. But every Tuesday in between then, you can catch us 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on MHHS, Blog Talk Eyes Wide Open. See RVBey publication homepage.
Geico presents sharing versus oversharing. Way early this morning, Brad Higdon shared a major spoiler alert from everyone's favorite hit show, sad emojis to express his feelings about the plot twist, and a playlist he made to drown out his sorrows? Dude, oversharing alert. Brad, Geico has something worth sharing with those who haven't befriended you. Like how you could save hundreds on your car insurance at geico.com. So stop moping about the